And we're going to spend that time with New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters, also former New Zealand Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister and Treasurer. Thanks for your time with the Tuakana Tēnā koe, Winston.
All right, good morning.
Kia ora, thanks for taking the call. I forgot to mention to our producer that Shane's actually up in Vietnam, so I'll catch up with him next time around. But he provides us with some interesting commentary on Tuesday mornings. Your friend Shane Jones, of course, I always have my thesaurus at the ready when talking with Shane. Can we just touch on the passing of Chester Burrows, please, Winston? Because I've actually had him in the studio here and found him to be a pretty pleasant sort of guy. I can't even recall, to be honest, what would bring him into a Māori radio station, but for a time there he obviously had some mahi that had a Māori angle to it. But you say he was pretty well liked across the board, and sad to lose him at, I'd say, the tender age of 65 myself. Some thoughts on Chester's contribution, please.
Well, our condolences go out to Ella and his children and his family, and this is very sad because, as we said in our post, he got the respect of both sides of the house for his character and his honesty, and that's a rare thing in politics. Of course, I think Ella's part Maori, which may be also Chester's interest in coming onto your show. But no, it's just somebody that people will remember very, very respectfully. And, of course, yesterday, Paul East died as well. Honourable Paul East, a former member for Rotorua, a minister for the National Party, and also the ambassador, High Commissioner to London. So two MPs, quite significant ones, died yesterday, and that's very, very sad.
Indeed. Right, let's get into the syntax of all of this. Can you share some corridor about the response here? And it's been a very difficult time, we all know that. Weather conditions are challenging and will continue to be so. What are you making of the way we have responded to these challenges of late?
On the surface, it looks okay, but the reality is that some things have been seriously compromised. If you look at page 815 in the Herald today, I've got an article about where has the 14 billion COVID recovery fund left over, remainder, where's it gone to? It was a commitment that we asked the government that we were part of at the time, and we wrote to the Minister of Finance and said to him, this is not something that we should be careless about. We should be ultra careful. As a crisis, further crisis will come. We need to have the money. And that 14 billion had not been spent the way they did, unauthorised in my view, and criticised by the auditor. The Auditor General wrote to them twice in June and November. He wrote to the Treasury, and then he wrote to the Parliament to tell them what was going on. And these guys just went on last 2 years spending this money, and here comes this massive crisis, and we need it now. And alongside the insurance money, that's money coming from abroad, we'd be able to pay for a lot of this stuff. But no, we've gone and wasted it. And that's what my article's about. So if you get a chance, 8:15 in the Herald today, you'll see it. But I'm very concerned that we're getting the same spin now and same claim of responsibility. And when he was on the program 2 weekends ago on Q&A, Grant Robson said, we'll be as transparent as always. No, they haven't been. That's why the Auditor General wrote to them twice. Since my letter to them on I think it was the 12th of June, I wrote in 2020 to Grant Robinson to say, look, we are worried about what's going on here.
Tēnā, you would have watched Matatini, some of it, and take some pride in the fact that you funded the Māori Performing Arts way back when people don't remember. At a time when many people don't remember. So tell us more about your involvement with Kapahaka.
Well, I am so grateful that you remember, because that's what matters. But everybody forgets. Look, I set up the Maori Sports Awards with the funding. I didn't set it up. Albie Pryor came to me and said, look, I need 50,000 to start off the first one ever, the Maori Sports Awards. I was the Minister of Maori Affairs. I said, Albie, I'll get it for you. Then we go on to Kapahaka's another one. At the time, I thought, well, how come we've given $10, $18 million a year to the National Orchestra, and here's a group seeking money, and we set up, I think it was $6 million inaugural year to get it underway. And I think they're sad to say we are struggling of late because a lot of politicians are all talk but no action.
Did you take some pride in watching the quality of the performance over that past week?
I certainly did, and also I was seriously impressed that some of those people were from places seriously troubled by Cyclone Gabriel, but nevertheless they got it together and kept it together and did it very, very well.
You've ruled out working with these two parties, so there's no Christmas for Chris Hipkins or Chris Luxon. Do you get on okay with, for instance, Hipkins? I know that you're a bit dark on the previous Prime Minister there for going against what the arrangement seemingly was, but what about the new bloke?
Oh, look, the new Labour leader nevertheless was part of the inner sanctum or the inner circle of this, what I believe was a serious breach of faith and outright treachery when you think about it. You sign up to do certain things and behind your back people are doing different things, not even telling you. When you're number two in the organisation and have been the acting Prime Minister during the time that she was the Prime Minister was having a baby. This is astonishing behaviour, so you cannot excuse that. Because people of integrity would say, look, I'm sorry, Prime Minister, I'm not going to stay here if you keep on doing that. But he did, and they did. And, of course, when you look at the debacle of the education system and the massive truancy that was taking place and ruining our education, if you look at the COVID situation, not 2020, but going on, and the debacle in terms of the lockdown of this country, and places like Norton on the basis of a suspicion and not one case, and a huge cost to New Zealand. And then if you look at the police and the ram raids on so many shops and so many homes in this country, Mr. Hipkins has not got a good record. Mainstream media can wave their hands and salute him as they do, but Mr. Hipkins' record should be seriously examined, and a good one. So, I've just said that I'm not going to be dealing with people who cannot keep their word and can't keep the faith when they shake hands with you as an alternative government, so to speak. I have dealt with Helen Clark and Michael Cohen, for example, in the past, and in every respect they kept their word to a T. That's what I respect, and that's what we have a right as people in this country to expect.
As always, appreciate your thoughts. Thanks very much. Have a great day. I'll talk with you again soon, Winston. Thank you. Winston Peters with us, the New Zealand First leader.